Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. It must be indie brand week here or something because today I uploaded my video with the Adept Cosmetics Flying Fiddles palette, and now I'm going to be reviewing the new Glaminatrix Cosmetics Pretty in Pastels palette, and I'll also be showing you and reviewing the new liquid blushes. Glaminatrix Cosmetics is launching both of these on the same day at the same time. I'll let you know what the day is in a second. Let me look it up. And I am thrilled to be swatching and showing you guys this pastel palette today because it looks insanely beautiful. Pastels, as I always say, a little tricky sometimes because sometimes creating light colored shadows can backfire a bit, especially if they're supposed to be vibrant colors. However, I haven't even swatched this yet, but I have seen swatches online that look just super beautiful. So I have very high hopes for this particular pastel palette right here. I also love the way they laid the colors out. We'll get into all of that in a second. If you guys are excited about today's video, give it a thumbs up and let's go ahead and get started. Information on the palette and the blush release. This is releasing Saturday, March 2nd at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to retail for $43. The liquid blushes are going to be released on the same day at the same time. These are going to retail for, it says 25 Australian dollars. I'm going to assume that's probably going to be like 20 American dollars, but I could be wrong. Definitely check it out on the website if you are curious. And they're also going to sell the blushes in a set, so if you get them all, you can get them with a bit of a discount. Now, I do have an affiliated discount code with Glaminatrix Cosmetics. The code is PATTY10. So if you do decide to go for any of these, you can use my code and save 10% off of your purchase. Keep in mind, these products will be coming from Australia, so the delivery will take a few extra days. Anyways, let me go ahead and open this palette without further ado because I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to show you it. I haven't opened it myself. I've just seen pictures of it online and it just looks glorious. Check out the beautiful outside packaging with all of the shifts in colors right there. And then once you open it, wow. Once you open it, here is what you get on the inside of the palette. As you can see, this palette has 2 rows of shimmers, 3 rows of mattes. And I was saying earlier, I love the way that they set up this palette because it is so easy to create eyeshadow looks with this layout. Hear me out. This 3rd row right here, these are always going to be your transition shades. 4th row, the shade to intensify the crease a bit. If you want it to be a bit smoky, then go on to the 5th row. For the center of the eyelid, 2nd row. For the inner corner, 1st row. That easy, and then you can just kind of pick your color story and just repeat those steps every time, and you have 5 beautiful pastel eyeshadow looks with like a specific color. Obviously you can also mix and match your colors, but I just love that they set it up in this way because it is just going to be so easy to just pick a color and create a beautiful look with it. So that might just be what I end up doing today. I'm not going to do 4 eyeshadow looks. I'm going to probably end up doing 3. I think I might skip the blue and do green, yellow, and purple today. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the swatches. Since we're talking about the swatches, usually I go across, but I think today I might just show things vertically so that we stay within the same color story or color family. We'll do that. Check out the first column of colors right here. So stunning. So these are pink and purpley shades. Here's the shade Surreal, Amber, Mystify, Fanciful, and then the color Tranquil right here, which is the smoky purpley shade. I'm going to enhance these two just a bit to build them up. There we go. So take a look right here at the pinky, purpley, lavenderish color story. It looks stunning. Here's the second column with the yellow colors, starting with the shade Magical here, which is Divine. Then the shade Idealist, which is a bit of a darker gold, although swatched. Okay, yes, if you put it far away, it does kind of look a little darker, but not too much darker than the first color, honestly. The lightest pastel shade is called Visionary. And then we have the shade Imaginary. Lastly, the color Luminous down here. Honestly, these are swatching so beautifully so far. Switching hands, check out these greens right here. So stunning. So first we have the shade Soulful. Take a look right there. Then the color Soothing, which is a beautiful, beautiful emerald green. Entrance is the pastel green shade. And to darken it up a little bit, the color Labyrinth right here, which is also kind of a different type of pastel green. I find that to give you a better swatch, I am always intensifying the two lightest matte shades, but they do build up really beautifully. And then the darkest green color is called Restful, and it is super beautiful and very pigmented. Lastly, we have the blue shades here, starting with the color Ethereal, Daydream, Divine, Infatuation, and lastly the shade Peaceful down here. Ooh, that's a beautiful, beautiful, that was a very beautiful glide. Take a look right there. So here are the green color story and the blue color story. I was waiting to finish swatching to like truly decide on what looks I wanted to do today, and I do think I'm going to go with purple, yellow, and green, because I will most likely end up using the blues combined with the rest of the colors. Whenever I do an eyeshadow look that has blue incorporated into it, I definitely prefer combining the blue shade with some neutrals or other colors rather than like all blue everything. So I think I'm going to stick to using the other color stories because I personally like them better. Before I clean up my hands though, let me just show you all of the swatches combined. It looks so, so pretty. Before I get too excited and start putting eyeshadow on my eyes, let me show you the blushes, and let's go ahead and also swatch those. Take a look right here at the outside packaging that they will come in. And here is the actual component of these blushes. I'm already thinking these three right here I'm going to love. You guys know I love the light colored blushes, and then these right here will work best for people who have a darker complexion than I do, I think. Let's swatch them. Let's start with the shade Puppy. I already have a complaint about these, and I am so sorry to say it, but the wand is so skinny. I really truly wish it was bigger than this. I just love when liquid blushes have a thicker applicator. It just feels better going on. Maybe it's just in my head, I don't know, but I definitely love the experience of just like doing a couple of dots versus having to swipe with the smaller wand. I'm being very picky. I know. I'll shut up now. Anyways, this second color was called Lavish. Let's go ahead and blend them out a bit so we can see how they blend. That's beautiful. Let's do Lavish here. Also very pretty. This one is called Sunny, and it's like a very peachy shade. Here's what that looks like. A lot peachier and less brown than the one on top, but also very warm. This one here is called Petal, and it's a beautiful peachy, pinky pastel type shade. And lastly, the color Gentle here, which is a bit of a darker, mauvier type pink color. And here's how it blends out. So take a look right here at the blush swatches and sort of kind of how they blend out as well. Let's begin putting these shadows on my eyes, and I'm going to show you the looks that I was referencing at the beginning of the video by using the colors in the way that I told you to use them, because again, I just think it's the easiest way to use this palette. I think the first color I want to use is green, so I'm going to start with the shade Entrance in a big fluffy brush, and this is going to be the transition shade. So I'm going to back and forth just blend the shade Entrance all across the crease of my eye right here. I've been thinking about creating eyeshadow looks that are easy to follow, even more so than usual. I think my eyeshadow tutorials are easy to follow, but I just want to give you guys a clear guide so that you can recreate the looks at home, and I feel like this palette makes it so easy. Look at that green pastel shade and how beautifully it's blending on my crease. I don't have an eyeshadow primer on today. What I have is just a bit of concealer on my eyelid area, and I blended it all the way to the underbrow. So here's that light pastel color blended all across the crease. Switching to a smaller, more pinched brush. This is my reference number 1, and I'm going to use the shade Labyrinth, and this is the color we are going to add to the outer V back here, and then just lightly blend it into the crease, not taking it all the way in like the first color. We're just keeping it on the outer half back here, just back and forth. That blended in an instant. It was so fast. With an even smaller blending brush, this is a 13 max, a regular number 13 would work. I'm going to grab the shade Restful, which is the deep green. I'm scared, I want to tap it off a bit actually. And I'm going to just add it on the outer third of my eyelid at an angle, just flicking it upwards a bit to smoke things out with it. And I'm also going to blend it right between my lower lashes on that outer half of the under eye, just back and forth here. I just wanted to add a bit more intensity to the lash line on the outer part of the eye. Back with my reference number 1 and the color Labyrinth, this time on the tip of it, I'm going to smoke out my lower lash line all the way to the tear duct area, just back and forth with the fluffy brush. And so now that we have all of the matte shades down, I'm going to go into the shade Soothing. And this is going to be the shade right in the center of the eyelid. This is not just a beautiful greenish type color, it actually has beautiful blue shifts to it as well. It's stunning and very sparkly. And I'm just tapping it all throughout the center of my eyelid. A bit more of that dark green shade with the small blending brush, and I'm adding it back here. And then with a flat brush like the reference number 2 and the shade Soulful, we are completing the eyeshadow look by just rubbing that shade on the inner third of the eyelid and the inner corner of the eye. Just tapping it in place there and then rubbing it in a bit. Ooh, that looks so pretty. For my waterline, I was debating between a forest green, a pastel green, or like an olive green. I'm going to go with the more pastel shade. This is Patina from Glossier. I love that and the way that it came out. Now I am going to of course apply some mascara. I might even do some lashes and show you at the end, but before I do that, I want to do a second eye look. And once again, we're starting with a big fluffy brush and the shade Mystify. And we are going to apply that as our transition color all throughout the crease of the eye. This is a very beautiful light baby pink shade. Smaller blending brush, reference number 1, and the shade Fanciful. And with this one, we are intensifying the outer half of the eyelid and also the crease. So let me start blending it into the crease right here. This purpley pastel shade is building beautifully. And I think I want to hold off on using the darkest shade as of right now. I will incorporate it into the look, but I'll just do it a bit later. With the tip of my number 1 brush and the color Fanciful, I'm going to smoke out my lower lash line down here, just back and forth, all the way to the tear duct area. And I'm going to grab the shade Amber and put it in the center of the eyelid, just like I did for the first look. Just tapping it all throughout the center, blending it into the outer corner color a bit. Reference number 2 or any flat brush you love, and the shade Surreal. And this is going to be the inner third of the eyelid / inner corner shade. Defining things a bit up here with it. Okay, this is a Sigma angled liner brush, the E65 to be specific, and I'm going to dip it into the shade Tranquil. I want to do a powder wing. We'll see how that turns out, but I think it's a good idea. So I'm going to, with my eye open, just stamp upwards here, and then I'm going to blend it down. Yeah, that's looking nice. I wet the tip of this brush with a bit of setting spray, the one from Charlotte Tilbury to be specific, just to intensify that wing a bit more. I just want it to look a bit more pigmented, and I think the setting spray will definitely help with that. All right. Glossier eyeliner once again, this time in the shade Muse. And I'm adding it to my waterline. And with a reference number 3, I'm going to grab just a tiny bit of the shade Tranquil and smoke it in between my lower lashes on the outer half back here, just a tad bit. Take a look. Here is the second look using the purple pastel shades from this palette. And I also used the dark shade a bit differently so that the look overall was more pastel, because I was like, this started pastel, but then I turned it into like not necessarily a pastel eyeshadow look, because the smoky shade did deepen it up quite a bit, which shows versatility. But if you want to keep it pastel, you can do something like this and then just use that dark shade kind of as a liner rather than blending it into the whole look. Back with mascara and lashes added. These lashes are from Kiss. They're in the style 09. Here is what the looks are like after everything is finished. Loving this pastel with the purple wing. And I'm also loving the smoky kind of pastel, but not really, eye over here on this side. Now I'm going to show you a couple of blushes before I get to the third look, because I figured this eye is going to go better with something that is a bit more cool toned. So I'm grabbing the shade Gentle and I'm going to just add a bit of Gentle right here. And with my sponge, I'm going to blend it into the bronzer. I think they actually recommend for you to use a brush instead of a sponge for these blushes, probably because the sponge will soak up some of the products, but that's okay. I like using a sponge. I just feel like they diffuse so nicely. So a little bit more, I don't mind building it. And here is how it looks. Again, this is the shade Gentle. And then I'm going to grab the warmer color for my warmer side. This one is Petal, which is a bit more peachy. And I'm going to just add it here. And with a different side of the sponge, I'm going to blend it in place. They have a beautiful natural finish to them. They're not too glowy, but also not too matte. So without distracting you with the other tones, here is the shade Petal with the green toned eyeshadows. And then the shade Gentle with the purple toned eyeshadows. It's actually the next day because I ran out of makeup wipes, so I couldn't just wipe my eyes last night to then do the third look. But this worked out because I have somewhere to go today, so I'll look very cute for my dinner with my friend. Anyways, I put everything I had on my face yesterday back on my face today. The full list of products is in the description box below. And let's get started with our yellow gold eyeshadow look with this column of colors right here. Now I do want to keep it spring, and I think the color Luminous down here is pretty fall, so I think I'll end up using that one probably as eyeliner like I did for look number 2 instead of integrating it into the eyeshadow look, because I think it's going to change the vibes, you know. Anyways, I'm going to once again start with a big fluffy brush. This is my number 15 and the shade Visionary. And this is going to be the transition color. I'm going to apply it all throughout the crease by just back and forth blending it with my fluffy brush. I think this yellow color Visionary is one of the lightest pastel shades in this palette. So I am having to go back and dip my brush and build it up a bit so that it shows up in the way that I want it to show up, you know? Stamp to build, and then once I added a bit more pigment, back and forth we blend. This is as much as I can build that pastel yellow color. Again, it is the lightest pastel in this palette, but I wanted to show you because I do think that if you have a darker complexion, it is going to be hard for this color to show up. So now we are going to deepen it up a bit with the shade Imaginary. And this one I am sure is going to work for a lot of different complexions. So I'm just going to start by tapping it right on the outer V of the eye and then slowly blending it upwards into the crease. See, that immediately started building things up, making things show up better. So just back and forth, blending it into that transition shade. And here's what we're looking like so far with the first two matte shades. So then I'm going to use the shade Idealist for the center of my eyelid. And with my finger, I'm just going to pat it in place. Just tapping it right in the center. This one has beautiful, beautiful sparkles. Reference number 2 is my flat brush of choice, and I'm getting into the shade Magical with it. And we are going to complete this look by filling in the inner third of the eyelid and adding some brightness to the inner corner. I feel like this is such a happy eyeshadow look. And I am defining my crease just a tad bit. Back to the shade Imaginary, this time with a reference number 3, which is a pencil brush, and I am going to define my lower lash line with it all the way to the tear duct area. Just smudging that color down there back and forth. And then with a tad bit of the shade Visionary, I'm just going to make sure the under eye looks blended with a reference number 13 brush. Glossier eyeliner, once again, these just have the best colors and I can use them with so many different looks and so many different palettes. This one is in the shade Ochre, which is like a mustardy type color. Let me sharpen it. And I'm putting it right in my waterline. Look at the difference that makes. I love it. We could leave it at this and just do mascara and lashes and that would look beautiful. Or we could do a bit of like a half wing with the color Luminous, like I said earlier, to just add a bit extra depth, a bit extra definition to the eye look. And also to use the last color in the warm yellow section. So I think I am going to do the half wing. Once again, using Sigma's E65 brush. And at first I'm using the shade Dry just to ensure that I place it where I want it. And then I'm going to wet my brush and just intensify things a bit and set that powder eyeliner in place. Alright, so I'm going back with the wet brush, finalizing everything. And if you use a transfer proof setting spray for this, which I am doing because I'm using the one from Charlotte Tilbury, it'll also ensure that the wing is not going to transfer up here if you, like me, have hooded eyes. This is as good as that's gonna get, because if I keep going, we're going to end up with huge wings and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to go back with a bit of the color Imaginary on a pencil brush just to make sure that things look nice and smooth and blended right under the wing here. Let me do my mascara, let me put on some lashes, and I'll be back to show you the final look, and I think we'll also try one more blush shade. Back with mascara and lashes on, and this right here is the finished look today with this glorious Pretty in Pastels palette from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. I honestly really love the way things ended up coming out. Let's put on some blush. I don't think this one is one of the ones that I put on yesterday. This is the shade Sunny and it's the warmest light color. So I am going to add this one to my cheeks today because this will match the yellow very beautifully. And once again, I'm just blending it in with the sponge. That looks very pretty. Okay, so here's what that blush looks like blended out. Let's do some lip liner and lipstick. This lip liner is Love Trap from Charlotte Tilbury. Here's what that looks like. And in the center, I'm going to use my Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lip in the shade Ginger because I wanted to use something that wasn't cool toned. So let me just spread that out. And so here we have it. This is the finished look right here. So let me give you my final thoughts on this beautiful palette right here. I am in love with the shimmer shades that they created for this palette. I'm in love with the simplicity of the way that the color story is set up. I honestly expected the pastel row, like this row right here, I expected it to be even better than it was because the swatches that they were showing online, I felt looked extremely pigmented. And I did have to go back and build this row of shades in order to get it to look with the level of intensity that I wanted. But I think that at the end we got there. It's just going to take a bit of building because they are pretty light pastel colors. Other than that though, I think the rest of the shades in this palette perform beautifully. Everything blends effortlessly, and I really enjoyed every single look that I created for this video, and I hope that you guys did too. Remember, if you want to purchase this palette, it'll be available soon on the Glaminatrix Cosmetics website, and you can use code PATTY10 to save 10% off of your purchase. Same thing if you want to purchase the blushes. Final thoughts on the blushes. I think they perform beautifully. I'm glad that they're not too intense and that you can kind of build and blend as you go. I would have preferred a thicker applicator, but again, that might just be me being very nitpicky about it. Anyways, I love you all so much. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel and you like this video, please subscribe before you leave. Thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye.